Rain hammered against the cracked windshield as the single dad tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his tired eyes catching a trembling shape at the edge of the road, a young mother clutching two newborn twins, soaked, shivering, and discarded like her life no longer mattered. The cries of the babies pierced through the storm, and in that moment, the man who had already lost everything felt something shift inside him. He stopped the car, his heart pounding with a mix of fear, compassion, and a haunting memory of the night he had once held his son through tears. The streetlight flickered above them, revealing bruised shadows on the girl's face, desperation swelling in her eyes, and a silent plea that spoke louder than any scream. His breath faltered, the storm roaring around them, and without knowing why, he opened the door and stepped into a choice that would change all of their lives forever. Red heart, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel name. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive for the world to feel. Red heart. He guided the young mother and her twins into the warmth of his car, trying to ignore the heaviness in her voice as she explained between trembling breaths how her in-laws had forced her out after her husband died, accusing her of being a burden, claiming the babies would ruin the family's reputation. The single dad felt a familiar ache, remembering how society had once looked at him with the same cold judgment when his wife passed away, leaving him alone to raise his son. He drove them away from the storm and toward the tiny home he and his little boy shared, a home that smelled of worn-out hopes but still carried a softness that came from love. The woman hesitated at the doorway, ashamed and broken, but he offered blankets, warm food, and silence, the kind of silence that healed instead of wounded. The twins slept against her chest, and for the first night in a long time, she didn't cry herself unconscious. Days passed, and life inside the small house began to stitch itself into something unexpected. The young mother helped with chores, her hands trembling but determined, while the twins' soft breaths filled the home with new life. The single dad woke early, juggling work and fatherhood, but now there was laughter, soft cooing, and the gentle hum of someone washing dishes while humming lullabies. He knew the neighbors whispered, accusing, assuming, judging, but he ignored them. He saw how the girl slowly began to smile again, how her eyes no longer held the same emptiness, and how his son grew attached to the babies, calling himself their big brother. Yet still, the man carried a hidden struggle, bills piling higher, his job hanging by a thread, and his heart battling the fear of failing another person who depended on him. The young mother noticed. She watched how he came home exhausted, how he skipped meals so the children could eat, how his shoes wore thin and yet he never complained. She wanted to repay him, but all she had were scars and memories of doors slammed in her face. One night, while the twins slept, she found an old box in the corner of her bag, containing documents, letters, and a key. She explained through shaking words that her late husband had left her ownership of land and savings, but his family had hidden it from her. The single dad listened, stunned, realizing this girl wasn't just abandoned, she had been robbed. He encouraged her to fight, to reclaim what belonged to her and her daughters, to rise instead of retreat. Together, they went to legal aid, and slowly the truth unfolded. Weeks later, a letter arrived confirming that everything her husband had left was rightfully hers. She wept in disbelief, clutching the paper like it was oxygen. But instead of leaving immediately, she turned to the man who saved her and said he deserved to share in the miracle he had unknowingly protected. He refused at first, insisting he had simply done what any human should do, but she reminded him that without him, she and her twins might not have survived the night. As days turned into months, life transformed, the home grew brighter, warmer, and filled with belonging. Neighbors who once whispered now admired. The single dad no longer feared the future. The young mother no longer feared the world. And the twins grew up believing that family was not always blood, sometimes, it was kindness. Sparkling heart, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to channel name. Your support helps more people feel these emotional journeys and reminds the world that kindness still exists. Sparkling heart. Sparkles before you go, comment below. Miracles come when we least expect them. And let your words inspire someone who needs hope today.